unfortunately, I've always been the pessimist instead of the optimist. Even when I was younger, something I was always told, I always see the negative before the positive. And I think that's part of my exhaustion is just doing that for so long. And you just stay just so tired. And I didn't put those pieces together either until recently. Until now, I'm just like, okay, I've had a little rough moment, but I know it's going to get better.
Welcome to the Studio Takeover. I am your host and mentor, Kat Ford Coates. Today, I'm here with Judith Dineen, and Judith is entering into the business side of the portrait space. As I understand it, she has been shooting for some time and her work is beautiful. We spent some time at a conference together this year, and I thought it would be a good idea to bring on people that are newer to the business side of the space, because I want people out there, people out in the world to understand that just because you're beginning something, even if your work is amazing, on the business side of things, like there are other people alongside you that are working toward those same goals. So I invited Judy to come in and join me today. Judy, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
So, Judy, why don't you tell us where you are? Do you have a business yet? Are you putting things together? Like, talk to me about your business and what you're wanting to achieve with it.
I'm actually located in West Bend, Wisconsin, and I have the LLC, so I do have that taken care of, and trying to just get things underway because I've had quite the hectic past, I don't know how many years. So I haven't been able to do too much with it like I want, but things are finally coming around and being completed. So it's now time to really focus on the one thing I really want to do, which is photography, and offering just those around me portraiture as themselves and just having a good time and just loving themselves and being their work of art.
Now, I'm curious, as you're starting to build, right? Like you have an LLC. Where else are you employing infrastructure into your space? Like, do you have a sales process worked out? Client journey is another way of describing that. I'm
actually working on all that because unfortunately I didn't actually piece all that together until recently going through the startup with you. I'm like, oh, so I have now where I'd like to just get a better handle on things, including myself, instead of just being all over the place.
Well, and when I came into the portrait space, my client journey was like, I just want to photograph people. So then I'll just throw images at them and like, it'll be so much fun. And all I cared about was the shoot part, and then would have so much fun with the editing, but then wasn't making any money.
Right. And that's been the biggest thing is I guess didn't realize how PC it was until I was seeing everybody else and listening to how I just didn't have a good system. Like I had no system at all.
Well, what feels difficult about it?
Just the fact that I'm not always good at expressing what I'm trying to portray to them, what I'm offering, like what the experience is. So I've never been really good at words and putting it out there. Like I don't mind sharing my imagery, but when it comes to putting words with it, I am just a fumbling mess.
Always start with the feeling, my friend. Always start with the heart. Whenever you're at a loss for words, it just means you're out of alignment with your heart. So get into the impact that you're having, what you love about the subject, even when that subject is yourself.
That's what I've been realizing. I'm like, oh, okay. People just seem to enjoy hearing the story, like with my husband or my son or myself. People seem to really enjoy hearing about that stuff.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
I think it's because it humanizes the business. Right? Like, and I know you're very active on Instagram and sharing just conversations about your everyday life and your portrait life and your business, which I think is going to really work in your favor as you scale and put those pieces into place and, all of the things. What would you say about being able to focus on your portrait business? What are you most excited about?
I'm kind of excited about it all. I'm just ready for it to all be a focus instead of, been like feeling incomplete myself. I realized that really portrayed in my business that it just, because I've always been so inconsistent with me that my business was quite inconsistent, just so up and down. So I'm ready just to have a better consistency to really work through everything. And I don't mind if it's a journey altogether between myself and my business. I'm just so ready for it to be a whole.
Well, and, I think it's also important to note too, like you are embarking on this space where like you can start giving it attention. And it is something that you want. I've been watching you now for, I guess, about 6 to 8 months, and just move from this space of like, why isn't anything working? This is so hard, to, you know what? I'm really enjoying my day and I'm going to put myself out there. And then you went to the Portrait Masters conference, and really started to open yourself up to opportunity and seeing what's possible. What has that journey been like for you?
Exhausting, but enlightening at the same time, because I've never been one with emotions or feelings and all. It's something that's always been really hard for me, in all honesty, until recently. I've never been real good at expressing it.
One of the things that I think has been really powerful just in watching you over, the last 6 to 8 months has been the mindset. And I know that mindset is kind of a buzzword, but really watching you shift from, oh my God, everything's so hard, my life is awful, to, oh, this is possible for me. Oh my gosh, there's proof of this now. Like, are you aware of that within yourself?
Yes, because I've had past couple of years of very, very bad mindset where just so much had gone on right when COVID hit. There's a lot of things that ended up piling on top of me. And I was already kind of miserable before that. It was really hard to get out of that mindset because I was in it for so long. Unfortunately, I've always been the pessimist instead of the optimist. Even when I was younger, something I was always told, I always see the negative before the positive. And I think that's part of my exhaustion, is just doing that for so long, and you just stay just so tired. And I didn't put those pieces together either until recently. Until now, I'm just like, okay, so I've had a little rough moment, but I know it's going to get better. Just knock it off. It's not doing me any good. And I'll go to work out, and that helps me clear my head quite a bit, actually.
I think the thing with mindset is when you start recognizing those thoughts come up in your head, and I'm glad you have move your body, because that's definitely something that I even engage in, and I teach other people too. Okay, accept the thought, acknowledge that it exists, and then move your body to make a new choice. Right. Yes. Because when you can kind of get into that, okay, today's great. I'm going to go into the studio. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. This is going to be so awesome. All right. I love where I'm headed. Right. And now all of a sudden, you're moving that energy through you. So every single person who owns their own business also has a life outside of that business, even when they're completely dedicated to the business. Right. They have families, partners, parents, siblings, that the life goes on, right? And other things occurring in their lives that are affecting their own well-being. When we're comparing ourselves to other people, we get into that space why is it so easy for them? Why is this success happening for them and not for me? And why can't I get it to work? I feel like such a jerk. I'm such a dumbass. What am I thinking? When really, all think those things.
Every last one of us. So I'm personally really proud of you for recognizing okay, I have these thoughts. Now that I'm aware of them, I can address them in the moment. Because you would never say that to your sister or your brother or your best friend or your partner. You would never be God, you're such a dumbass. Right?
No, unless I'm messing with them.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm an oldest, so I have a stepsister and 2 younger brothers. My stepsister is my age. She's almost a month younger than I am, right? But my brothers are 5 and 7 years younger than me. And growing up, it was always I can pick on you, but nobody else can. You know what I mean?
I have a brother that's 26 years older than my fraternal twin and I. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so you are moving into the space where you can really start focusing on your client experience. What challenges are you running into as you're putting those pieces together?
I guess just presenting it for what it is like more of an empowerment thing, because I want to make it an experience where it's not just a photo session where you like do a family session. I want it to be more than that. I want it to be fun. I want you to just get to know yourself more, because even in an hour, you can always realize so much. I want it to be more than just, a photo shoot. I want it to literally be like, people use, like you keep using that word, a client experience. I want them to realize this is an experience. This is not just hey, let me come click my camera in front of you. No, I like the talking during it. Like I'll play music some, but I don't blast it a lot of times. So I like to be able to interact and, see what people like. I like to bring that out in people. One of the last sessions I did a young lady, she had won a session because I did one of those silent auctions, and come to find out she enjoys horror movies like I do and all. And her and her husband goof around. So I like that stuff. I like getting to know people and the aspect of just like that, like they just bring out the real smiles and all that, just all of it.
So if you're trying to find a way to title it and to talk about it, then talk about those aspects. It's not just a photo shoot. It's an opportunity to connect, and then go into all of the ways that you connect with your client, that they connect with themselves. Like, what are they getting? The byproducts. I talk about byproducts a lot. Like the byproduct of your experience is the revenue that you generate when your system's set up correctly, right? But the byproduct of a session, there's multitudes, right? The byproducts are sales. The byproducts is personal transformation. The byproducts are rediscovering parts of yourself. And when you get into understanding what all of those impacts are for everyone that sits with you, the more you can speak about it. So many different opportunities, but understanding what happens if they don't find you, I think is a really cool exercise. When you start to appreciate the ripple effect of what it is that you are doing for people, right? Like, it's not just, I click a button, right? Just like you said, it's, I'm holding space for you. I am allowing you to connect with yourself on a deeper level. I'm giving you documentation of that, right? It's going to outlast both of us, right? You are going to see that artwork every single day. If you feel more confident because of this session and because of that reminder sitting in front of you when you're maybe not feeling as great about yourself, and you see that and remember who the F you are, how do you go out differently in the world? What do you model for your kids? Is that disempowerment or is that confidence? And when you start really like drop and giving 20 on all of those ways that you have an impact, then all of a sudden you have 20 different topics you can talk about your experience.
I really do like the session itself because I kind of like the talking and being inquisitive with them and asking questions and bringing up conversation. I like that part a lot. It's not just the taking the picture, but I really enjoy when you bring up a subject somebody's really into, you just see it on their face and it radiates through their whole body. I just enjoy that so much.
So really the photography itself is your way of connecting with other people.
Yes.
Right.
That's a very good way to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, that's art, right? Like, I don't care what kind of art you're talking about, whether we're talking about photography or painting or whatever, like it is the ability to communicate with the world around you. But the thing about photography, or maybe even like fine art painting, could also be construed this way, but really is an opportunity for you to create art through connection, through personal connection with someone else. I think understanding that allows you so much more insight, not just in describing your process, but creating it. Like as you bring people on to photograph them, whether they're invitations for portfolio builds, like would you say your portfolio is at a starting level, or would you say your portfolio needs some growth?
I feel like it's there, but it's just sometimes missing certain things. Like I'm still feeling like I'm trying to figure out my style per se. Because I like things darker, but unfortunately it's a little too much. And I don't know. I have
A little
so
too
many
much
things.
for whom?
Well, I never thought it was too much for me. I kind of liked it, everything a little bit darker. I can't really explain that, but just something about more dark and seeing more shadow just kind of always drew me in. And I think that's why I've loved black and white imagery for basically my entire life. Just somehow black and white imagery is just so intriguing to me. I grew up with the 35 millimeter cameras. And
one of the things I do like to remind people of as you're building portfolio is it's not necessarily that you need to create a portfolio with a vast litany of lighting design. In the beginning, you really just want to have the fundamentals of your portfolio be simply beautiful examples of the types of people you want to serve, right? And so it's about showcasing that you are welcoming, right, of different body types, different skin colors, age groups. And then it's really when you start to expand on lighting style and developing your style, because your style will always be in evolution. Like there's no like set it and forget it. Okay, my style's done. Right? Okay. Style comes from your natural bias and inclination toward parts of the proverbial recipe, right? Like you said, I am drawn typically to, darker imagery, right? So you're probably going to have really full blacks, whether you're shooting something bright and airy or super vibrant, it's always going to be probably pretty rich. And maybe you do love movement or don't love movement, right? And so when you think about all of the components, the recipe of an image, right, you're going to just naturally lean into certain aspects of that. And that will become the pull through, I guess is the best way to put it, like the consistency throughout your portfolio. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, actually. I get what you're saying.
Very cool. Yeah, because we all get stuck in this perfectionism space. Like, well, I have to work on my portfolio some more. And you're working on lighting style, and that's going to keep you from having sales conversations or inviting people into your studio because it's got to be perfect. And I have to have this kind of lighting setup and this kind of lighting setup and this kind of lighting setup to show my range. But you've only got 3 people in your folio, right? And it's like, well, why don't we focus on getting the people that I want to photograph, my favorite types of clients? Like if you've taken any of my marketing courses, I often talk about, the archetypes of customer. And every part of the system, right, serves every single one of those types of customers. But you are going to have favorites, and that it's your favorites that you need to focus on enticing. So those favorites are the people you want to have in your studio, and have that storytelling speak to those people in how you talk about your work and how you market to them. So for you, you're probably, if I had to bet without giving you a quiz, are a connector. So you value the relationships and communities with other people. So all of your work needs to speak to how you are building a community. And if you don't have like a VIP group on Facebook, I strongly encourage you to start one.
I got it started, and I feel bad because it hasn't been quite the priority, but I have popped in and all, and I've tried to be kind of engaging, but I know now that I'll be able to be more engaging because I'm trying to figure out how to kind of plan my days. I know we had talked about you really can't do more than 3 things, like focus on more than 3 things. So I'm just trying to teach myself that so I don't get overwhelmed and then just decide to stop.
Well, guess what you're going to now start doing? Everything goes into your calendar, my friend. That's content creation. That is popping into your Facebook group to drop, some of the content that was created, or a funny meme, or a way to engage with your audience. I do talk about this a lot. My dad likes to poke at me a bit. He's like, you're just tied to your calendar. And I'm like, no, I'm in a very intimate relationship with my calendar. We are very, very close. And it's borderline ridiculous. If it doesn't go onto the calendar, then it's not a priority. Right? So yes, you want to focus on the top 3 things that you want to focus on for the day, and then everything else goes on to, the next day or the day after, right? But each one of those 3 things is going to have a task list And that task list like is per project. But like this is my calendar. It's like, okay, there's a couple of appointments. I know I have some editing to do, but if it's not a priority for me, it doesn't go on the calendar. So if it's not on the calendar, then it's not a priority. And I'm sure as, you know, a mom and a wife, like you can't necessarily stick to your calendar 100%. Will help keep you accountable to yourself in addition to just having those reminders. Because even my affirmations go in there too. And they'll pop up like once an hour, like whatever affirmation that I've written to support whatever the next goal is. But having that gives me the structure that I need in my ADHD brain to continue to build what it is that I want to build. Does that make sense?
Believe me, it does. Because I need to utilize my calendar more. I'm very forgetful lately, or I say lately, past couple of years, just extremely forgetful to where I even forget to put it in my calendar. And it just never was like me. And then now I'm like, calendar, I got to just utilize the stuff that I have. So I don't know. Because then you forget and you're so upset with yourself. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Absolutely. And then we get into the space of like, I can't believe I did that. God, what a dumb thing to do. And then you go down that rabbit hole of like the negative shit talk for yourself. And that doesn't improve anything at all. That just makes it worse.
Yes, it just really does put you down and out.
Yes, for sure. So tell me about where you're going, Judy. Like you're coming out of school. And I know right now, like during the recording, we're recording during the holidays. But Judy is, you know, planning to really like hit the ground running in January, moving into 2024. Like, what does that look like for you?
Less hours at the day job and focusing more on the client, like getting clientele in. And I'm not talking, I don't need extravagant clientele, like 2 or 3 a month at this point to get things really going is the dream. I want to be able to start doing not just standard like empowerment sessions, like what the campaign I was working on, the Real Me, where it's the come as you are, people are calling it. But I want to do stuff like what I got to experience at the conference. I want to do just fun things. I want to make it intriguing and interesting, not just a standard pose session. I really have gotten my passion back this past year for it. So I'm ready to do more with it instead of just being very stagnant. And because that's how I felt. I just felt so stagnant and just so standard. And that's not who I really am, to be honest. I'm very just an odd duck. And I kind of getting to experience and see different things. I'm like, that's the stuff I really want to do. I want people to be themselves, but I want to play. I want to have fun with it too. I don't want it just to be, again, where you're like the standard session. I like the idea of the flowing fabric or the pretty dresses. I like all that. Or doing something with even just an everyday look, but making it more intriguing for them as well, where they don't feel like, oh, this was just another portrait session. Sure. You know, I'm not standard or traditional. I've never really been like, I have a black Christmas tree and I love my black Christmas tree.
Well, and understanding, I don't know that I would take the word standard out of that. Traditional, however, traditional definitely fits, but you get to decide what is standard for your sessions. And one of the ways that we set ourselves apart in Asheville was by bringing something unexpected to the table. We've done a lot of branding work here locally, lots of headshots and things like that. But I always try to incorporate something unexpected. And because we sell by the image, right, and not just everything on a gallery, if they end up not loving it, they don't have to buy it, right? But it's a way to allow them to elevate in their brand, if it is branding, right? And have something unforgettable in their portrait session. Right, that allows them to feel really special. It also allows you to have higher than average sales or higher than standard sales because you are making it special for them and it's about them. Well, if there's anything I could help you with, what would that be?
I'm trying to come out of my shell. I'm trying to be less shy. And I don't think shy is quite the correct word, but I'm just trying to be more myself. And I just have always kind of had a hard time with that.
Okay. You know, it's like we were talking earlier, like you accept that the thought is there, you acknowledge that it's there, but you don't stay with it. It's not
well, I played the comparison game for so long, so now I'm stuck. It's, oh, I feel stuck because I played the comparison game. But now that I know that that's not an option for me anymore to play that comparison game, what new choice can I make today? Right. And if you're stuck for topics on how to market, there's a blog post on the Studio Takeover, but it's got 30 days of social media content just to kind of get people out of their box in their everyday of like, okay, I'm not only going to do the same thing I always do, right? And that is a tool for you, like the way you do go live and have those conversations with your audience is a way for you to get outside of your box. But the next level might be you going to Google and just typing in what is a portrait session and see what questions come up, because all of the questions that are searched on Google will rank and they'll show like the top 10 when you start typing in, right? And then each one of those questions that you see is what you talk about, right? Okay. So if your norm, your standard, your everyday is a comfortability, going live on Instagram or on Facebook or insert place here, then start with what you know and then start bringing it into your business, because that's you being authentic to your brand and how your brain works, because it does get easier, right? But as it gets easier, you're going to expound on that in the posts that you make about your customers, about your self-portrait sessions, like it unfolds. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And especially when you're really kind of building the portfolio and trying to get things organized, it just feels so overwhelming. It can feel overwhelming when you've been in business for 10 years, but when you start putting sustainability into how you approach things and approaching things based off of what you're already good at, that's really when you can make out a plan that makes sense for you and then put it in your calendar, right? Yeah. Like, okay, I am going to work on X, Y, and Z today. That's my goal. Like this marketing goal is maybe, blog post, take a paragraph, repurpose it into social, add an image to it and direct people to the blog post. Okay. And then the next day is take paragraph 2, add it to another picture, right? Like, so you can repurpose content. So it's not you trying to reinvent the wheel every 20 minutes. It's okay, let's create one path, right? And that path is for people to come to you. Well, and you've had something go viral on TikTok, haven't you?
I did. It was a senior session that I did where the senior, I asked her to hop in the water and she just jumped right in, and that actually did go viral. I didn't know it went viral until a friend of my daughter said, "You went viral." I was like, oh.
My social media focus has always been Facebook first, Instagram second. And I have a presence on YouTube, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, but it was never like my primary focus until I started the Studio Takeover platform. And so I've been nurturing that. And, I try to be very hands-on and like follow the people who follow me and look in. And I was scrolling down your feed and I was like, does that say 29,000? Like, get it, Judy?
Yeah. Trying to come out of my shell more.
Sure. Well, now there's a couple of things in there that you said. I'm going to start with the tactical. So all of the gurus tell you, like, if you do have something that tracks really well, do it again. Right. So grab that video, re-upload it again, maybe a new context, something like that, because you already know that the algorithm likes it. And the second piece is a little bit more in when you incorporate what you love and things that are fun into what it is that you're creating in your world. That's the secret sauce to the success. Yes, the infrastructure. Yes, the pricing. Yes, the systems. Once those fundamentals are laid, and if you can make those pieces fun, by all means, please do. But when you're thinking about the evolution of your style, it's about incorporating things that you love in your life into that style. I interviewed Ashley Taylor, and she loves travel and she loves theater. And she went to a burlesque show. I think it was in France. And she absolutely just had an amazing time.
And so when she was really looking into evolve her style and really get to a new space of mastery in the work that she was creating, she incorporated elements of the burlesque show and architecture into what it was that she was creating. And so when you look at, her work, initially gorgeous, right? The style that she had built was beautiful. But then when she started wanting to elevate and started incorporating those things that she loved about her life and those experiences, she brought in like a fashion element and a burlesque element and fishnet and like all of the things that expanded. That's true for all of us. Like for me, I typically love, like you, like really kind of dramatic imagery. And it doesn't always have to be dark and moody, right? But there is definitely like an impact that has for a viewer in just about all of my work. It's captivating. And I love dance. So I incorporate dance and movement into a lot of my work. And I do that through lighting and I do that through the tech work. So when you incorporate what it is that you love in your life into your work, that's really what allows you to create more of a signature for both your experience and for the visual coherence in your work, in your body of work as a whole. So Judy, you are excited about really kind of getting that momentum rolling and getting those clients in the door. If I can support you on that journey, definitely feel free to reach out, get into In the Studio, because I am so excited to watch you shine. Like the next couple of years for you are going to be quite the ride, I'm sure.
I'm ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. And make sure to check us out on thestudiotakeover.com. And if we can support you on your portrait journey, please do let us know. Feel free to reach out at support@thestudiotakeover.online.